Is it overreaction season or is it just preseason? Which season is it? We are going to hop into all of it. We're going to talk about the overreactions, the way too big reactions. We're going to try to again put them in the proper place. We are talking about preseason. We're going to get into it. We're going to start previewing the roster breakdowns, maybe look into a little film, but we're going to get it into it all. Is it time to overreact and hit the panic button for the San Francisco 49ers? Let's find out. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. Oh boy, it wouldn't be 49ers football if you didn't have some of these faithful fanatics out here absolutely losing their mind off a preseason game. Hey, it's okay. We understand. I get it. We want to see the San Francisco 49ers look crisp, look good, completing passes, doing all those types of things. I get it. I'm right there with you. I want to see it as well. But is it time to overreact to a two-drive, essentially, preseason game for the San Francisco 49ers? I don't know. Let's talk about it. But first, you already know the damn vibes. Drop an SDS in the chat if you're overreacting, you're underreacting, or you're just reacting. Again, you can have any type of emotion and thoughts about this game, but let's talk about it. Let's put it in its proper place and discuss why we're talking about preseason. Preseason? We got people losing their minds over preseason. It's okay. We're going to talk about it all. Shout out all the SDS in the chat. You love to see it. We got some of the squad already. What's good, Jesus? We got the bread gang out in full force already. Jonathan says, time to talk all these maniacs off the ledge. I'll do my best. I will do my best, but we know maniacs like to maniac. So it is what it is. But we're going to get into it all. We're going to talk about it. And again, is it right to get – there's a lot of hot takes being spit, at least on the timeline, in my comment sections on Instagram, about the status of the San Francisco 49ers. You're getting a lot of Trey Lance bust talk. You're getting people going on to Trey Lance's Instagram page and dropping bust comments under his recent posts. That's where we are at after Trey Lance had 3 preseason games, in which this past preseason game against the Texans, he only played, 2 series? And we already got people calling him a bust. And already, most likely DMing him, already dropping under his comment section on his Instagram to just let him know he's a bust. And the man has started 2 games in his career. And this is the thing. Football requires patience. If you've played football or you've been a fan for long enough, you understand that we say it all the time. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You can't look at a preseason game and then extrapolate it into what this season is going to be. We've seen team after team, whether it's the 49ers, whether it's other teams, this team went undefeated in the preseason. And I think the 0-16 Detroit Lions went undefeated in preseason. I think they won all 4 games. And then they proceeded to lose every single game in the regular season. Preseason is not an indication of success or failure, one way or the other. So I think when we're talking about the overreactions that are coming out of this game, we got to remind people that we're talking about, again, you can reference the famous AI quote. We're talking about practice? Wait. We're talking about practice. Now, we can talk about practice, and we always talk about practice because there's a context for everything. But that is, in of itself, the point that I am trying to make. there is context for preseason. Yes, can you take things away from preseason? Can you identify certain things with preseason and be able to understand, like, oh, maybe the offensive line is looking a little shaky. Yes, we can make that identification, but we don't have to freak out like it's the end of the world. So we will figure it out. Is this a damage control show? I'm not doing damage control for anyone. I am not here to do damage control. I'm here to speak facts and facts only. It's up to you guys if you want to listen. Again, you don't have to agree with me. It's okay. We can have a differencing of opinions. That's okay. But we're also here to put things into its proper context. And with the things that we've seen, again, I still need to go back and watch the full game. Just literally started to get into the tape to really break it down, and we can even do a breakdown together in real time so you could see how my mind processes when I'm watching these games, because I haven't watched it yet. So, but again, still, regardless of not being able to watch it yet, what we're looking at right now is we're talking about emotions when we're talking about the reactions to this game. Now, are there going to be places that can improve? You look at Banks and Burford's pass protection grades from PFF. They don't look phenomenal. I think they were in the 30s. And again, it's PFF, so we take PFF with a grain of salt, especially when it comes to offensive line. But you guys saw with your own eyes. We don't need to talk about, like, oh, the offensive line looked better than it really did. It looked pretty bad. I think we could all wrap our heads around that. But the best part is there's room for improvement. There's room to get better, and there is room once the scheme is actually integrated into the offense. Again, Kyle Shanahan isn't going to empty the clip in preseason. It's just not going to happen. So to think that the 49ers are doing what they do with scheme manipulation and everything like that, that helps aid the offensive line, that's part of it too. Like, so we can understand the context of, yes, the offensive line struggled last night, but they're also going to be aided by the additional things that Kyle Shanahan is going to implement by calling a game, having scripted plays, being able to work a specific scheme off of a defensive front that's in front of them. So I'm not ready to hit the panic button just yet. But as we discussed last night, there's a little cause for concern. I think Aaron Banks could have played a little better. I think Jalen Moore could have played better. I think Colton McKivitz could have played better. I think Burford could have played better. And I didn't see anything from Brendel last night that caused me a ton of concern. But again, still got to go back and watch the tape. So overall, I, I'm not seeing anything right now that's a big cause for concern. The things that we've seen from Trey, this was what we talked about all of training camp. And we understand it's going to be a bit of a progress and a work in progress. And that's perfectly fine. Does that mean we have to throw the season into the trash? No, it is not. No, it is not. So ultimately, when we're talking about the San Francisco 49ers, and today, just take a deep breath, relax. It's okay. We're going to be all right. And especially once you get Trent Williams back into the mix, Mike McGlinchey back into the mix. Thankfully, the 49ers have 17 days before week 1 kicks off, and they will be able to hopefully get Mike McGlinchey back, and that will also help things get moving together. And we also understand when you get Kyle's scheme working, it is going to slow down the defensive line up front because they don't know if it's misdirection. They don't know if it's run, if it's a pass, if it's play action, if it's zone read. That slows down opposing defenses. So that is going to help aid the offensive line immensely. So until we see a bigger case study from the starters, it's not time to panic, because I also have to remind people, if you go back to week 17 against the Texans, right? The Texans last year, the second game that Trey Lance started for the 49ers, the offense in the first half did not look good. It did not look good. It was clunky, a word that we use a lot. It was slow, uh, not effective, and it took some time to allow the offense to get into a rhythm. What was the big thing that clicked for the 49ers in that Texans game to jumpstart the offense? The big thing to jumpstart the offense was the 2-minute drill. So when the 49ers initiated the 2-minute drill against the Texans heading into the half, they drove all the way down the length of the field and they built that rhythm. And then from that point on, the 49ers offense started to click. So when you have a preseason environment, when you're constantly rotating in different players, you don't have all your starters out there. There's not that level of continuity. Things aren't going to click. So we have to understand and give it that breath to be able to build a continuity once you get your starters in there. Once you got a game plan in there, once you start to figure everything out, then we'll be able to have a real true sense of what this team can or cannot do. Right now, it's too early. It's just too early to be able to make a definitive, like, I can't definitively say, like, oh, the 49ers offense is going to be fantastic. Like, I can't say that right now, but I also can't say that they're going to be absolutely dog water. It goes both ways. Right now, they're kind of right there in the middle. You see the glimpses of what they can do. You see the glimpses of maybe some of the things they're going to struggle with. Now we got to see how that continues to evolve as the season progresses. Corey Soto says, not sure you can change their minds. They are looking to confirm their biases. Um, they'll only go quiet if he is good, and then they'll overact about something else. A new Doritos flavor or something. Shout out Corey, man. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, there's a lot of people trying to confirm biases, but we're trying to stay objective on this channel as much as possible. And if you don't like objective talk, then we're probably not going to gel well, but that's okay. You can sit back and listen to what this ginger beard has to say, but we're going to try to be as objective as possible. Some quick. Let's get into some quick news that we got from the game. Oren Burks, linebacker who was added from Green Bay, what left the game due to a knee injury, and that was a little concerning at first, but it does appear that Oren Burks is good to go. Oren Burks will not have a serious knee injury. So ultimately, that's a good sign. Oren looks like he will be the fourth linebacker up, play heavy special teams, and be a huge time contributor for the 49ers if any of the linebackers go down. So Oren Burks has been a great addition. It's good to see that he escaped without injury. There were also some other additional minor injuries. I think one to another linebacker. I think it was Curtis Robinson was dealing with a bit of an injury. Uh, and let's see, what is it exactly? It was a high ankle sprain for Curtis Robinson, and Akeem Spence, defensive lineman, is in the concussion protocol. So overall, 49ers got out of there pretty injury free. No injuries to the major players. Kyle Shanahan said that Charvarius Ward will return to practice this Sunday. So the 49ers will have their starting corners, Emmanuel Mosley and Charvarius Ward back, which is going to be an immense plus for the 49ers defense as they again get prepared for week one against Chicago. We understand that Jimmy Ward will be out. He will land on short-term IR, and he will be out for the first 4 weeks. However, he cannot go on to IR now. He has to make the final 53, and then he has to shift to IR. So this is where things are going to get interesting with the 49ers roster construction. And this applies to both Jimmys, Jimmy Ward and Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Ward is going to short-term IR. However, he has to obtain a spot on the 53-man roster first. Then he goes to IR, and then they can bring another player back onto the squad. So theoretically, Jimmy's going to be out for 4 weeks, but they're going to have to quickly turn and get someone who they either just cut or was cut by another team back onto the active. The same thing can apply for Jimmy Garoppolo. The Jimmy Garoppolo conversation is starting to heat up a little bit with the roster cuts, like right there in the forefront. They will go down on Tuesday. So it's believed that the 49ers are going to cut or release Jimmy Garoppolo at the roster cut down date. However, I'm starting to believe that might not be the case. I am starting to believe that the 49ers could keep Jimmy Garoppolo all the way up until week 1 because technically his contract does not become guaranteed until, I believe, September 11th, the week 1. So you had interesting conversation between Michael Lombardi, who's a former general manager, clearly tapped in, has all talks to people in the league and especially in GM circles, and discusses these things. And we already heard a report last week from Matt Mayoko. Matt Mayoko believes, and people inside the building believe, that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be headed to Seattle. That's where he's going to land, and it's not going to happen via trade. They're literally just going to wait for him to be cut, and then when he's cut, they're going to renegotiate. They're going to rework a deal, and Seattle is going to sign Jimmy Garoppolo. So a lot of people believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to come back, is going to stay on the roster with the 49ers. Like, again, whether you are pro Jimmy or you're whatever, like you want Jimmy off the roster, Jimmy is not going to be playing for the San Francisco 49ers in 2022 or ever again. And that's regardless of you. If you think that Trey is ready, it doesn't matter. Jimmy, that sale has passed. Right now, we're kind of looking at a divorce. It's a bit of a messy divorce. They agreed to a divorce a couple months ago. They got to wait for the lease to expire. They got to get new housing situated. They're still living together, but the divorce is there. They're just sleeping in different parts of the house. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers, they are split. There is no reconciling. They are not coming back together. So it's about timing. It's a logistical conversation in regards to Jimmy Garoppolo. And by all accounts, it does not feel anyone's coming to trade for him yet. Ian Rappaport come out today and say there are zero trade partners interested in getting Jimmy Garoppolo. However, the Seahawks are very interested, but they know they don't have to do anything. They know they just have to wait for Jimmy to hit the open market, because I know the 49ers keep hinting at the possibility of bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just not going to happen. That ship has sailed. Like I said, this is a divorce, and they just happen to still be in the same home. They're living in the separate parts of the houses, and they're waiting for the lease to come up, or they're waiting for sign somewhere else. So I'm starting to believe that because of that, I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be on this roster on the active. But I think people are going to interpret it a specific way. I think there are going to be people, again, there's this pro Jimmy and there's pro Trey subcategories of the fan base, and those are the only things they like to talk about. And they like to especially go at each other. And then everyone in between who's just a 49er fan gets in the middle and catches strays from those conversations, especially in the chat. You'll see it every once in a while. But what it's going to come down to is I think Jimmy's going to be on the active. So there's a two-pronged situation with Jimmy Ward. So it's really like the 49ers are going to have cut a 51 man roster. The second it hits 51, Jimmy Ward's going to go to IR, and then they're going to keep Jimmy Garoppolo all the way up until the true deadline. And the true deadline is when the contract becomes guaranteed, because let's face it, the 49ers play Seattle week 2. And if that's what it's looking like, and Jimmy Garoppolo is going to go be playing up north in Seattle against the 49ers at the home opener, it is a competitive advantage for the 49ers to hold Jimmy Garoppolo as long as possible. Because why? Because that's what, about 14, like 2 weeks 2 weeks that Jimmy won't have time to prepare for the Seahawks, or prepare and learn the playbook, get acclimated, and then somehow come back and play the 49ers week 2. So everything that we're hearing about that situation, that's kind of what it feels like is going to happen. Feels like Jimmy is going to be on the active roster. He's going to make it, and they're going to cut him right before the Chicago game. And then he's going to sign with Seattle. And then we're going to see Jimmy Garoppolo at the home opener week 2. You cannot script this stuff, man. You cannot like, this is like movie script stuff. Like the way this, can you imagine the pregame? Like in the Jimmy held hostage against his will with the 49ers all the way up until week 1. Then he's released and then signs with the Seattle Seahawks, and now he's back week 2 and to take on the 49ers. Ooh. Travis says, I'll bet 100 he doesn't sign with the Seahawks. What does he stay with the 49ers? What's the alternative? But that's a juicy bet. That's a juicy bet. So Cap says, if we lose Jordan Mason because of this, we riot. I agree. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it, to be honest with you. Like, I get what they're doing, but ultimately I don't like the idea of it, because you're cutting guys that should make the roster in favor of a guy that's not going to be on the roster, but you're trying to kind of play this game, and ultimately it just feels like compounding like a negative situation. So all right, y'all need to chill. We'll just do this. The alternative is he won't sign to a team with 0 line, so he will wait it out. Better than loses their starting quarterback and needs Jimmy. 49er, the Seattle Seahawks have 2 really good young tackles, so their offensive line is rapidly improving. It's actually probably better than anything right now than Russell Wilson had the last couple years. So ultimately, I don't love it. I think it's a bad idea. But I get it. I understand both sides. But if we lose Jordan Mason, like if you lose a player that, and in that scenario, it feels like Jordan Mason is definitely going to get cut. Like, they just don't have enough roster spots. And are they going to keep Sudfeld? Purdy and Jimmy? Are they keeping 4 quarterbacks? That becomes a question. So, this roster cut down to 53 is gonna be primetime television. Y'all better be tuned in. Y'all better have those post notifications on because when we go live, it's gonna be epic. Chat's gonna be spicy. Uh, but if I have to, play the role and be the general manager of the San Francisco 49ers for 5 seconds, I can't do it. I can't do it. I know a lot of people think highly of Jimmy, and I know a lot of people think very poorly of Jimmy. I'm right there in the middle. I understand what Jimmy's good at. I understand what he's not good at. I understand he's a successful quarterback in this league. I believe he's a starting quarterback in this league. And you don't want to just give away a starting quarterback to your division opponents up north, who you seemingly just have a really hard time beating, no matter what the circumstances are. And you give them Jimmy Garoppolo again. I know a lot of people, especially in this chat, are probably just, oh, let him go up north. Not a big deal. Again, it's not a big deal until Jimmy Garoppolo shows up in Levi's Stadium week 2 and beats the 49ers. Then it becomes a big deal. Then, you talk about confirming biases. Anyone who said, oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, my goodness. They they will be on the ropes, like sick. Like Jimmy really went up to Seattle full free and beat us. Oh, woo! It's gonna be wild, man. I don't pray for it. I don't hope for it. I don't want it, but it feels like it's just like a bubbling sensation that's coming up. So it's a perfect storm that I don't want to see. So hopefully it's not what we see, but it's starting to pick up. So I know a lot of us are sick of talking about the quarterback situation, uh, but I don't think it's going to be cut and dry. I think it's still going to be a very nuanced situation where he could ultimately end up in division. So if he ends up in division, that becomes something that we talk about quite a bit. Uh Kelts says Jimmy goes deep to Metcalf. Watch Jimmy's long ball return. Just watch magically goes up north. The air's a little bit different. So there's more like lush trees and like the rainwater just somehow and Jimmy has surgery and somehow can throw 30 extra yards. Just watch, man. Knowing the 49ers luck, just knowing what we have to deal with as a fan base, it just feels like that's in the cards. But I hope it's not. But again, it's going to be something that we continue to, again, look at. I don't love it. I don't love the situation either way. Again, I'm going to be one of those people that say, I don't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo up north, regardless of what you think of him. Because the 49ers already have a hard enough time beating Seattle, and you get a pissed off Jimmy Garoppolo in there. Something just tells me, yeah, okay, he's not going to be throwing 50-yard bombs to DK Metcalf, but what if he does? What if he does? What if we get out there, the first play is a play action, and he goes deep to DK? Everyone's going to be like, ho, Nelly. Watch out now. Again, not something I want, but there's a range of outcome for everything. And God, that just terrifies me. As someone who talks to the fans quite a bit, as someone who I interact with so many fans, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, of course, here on YouTube, Facebook. I see all the comments, and there are going to be a lot of people that are going to be real upset if that happens. Like Jimmy, when I say Jimmy's going to be successful, and then there's going to be people that are 49er fans that are going to be happy that Jimmy's successful, but they're going to point it at all the, whoa. But we'll see. We'll see. But it's something, again, to monitor. That's what I feel like is going to happen. Based on the way the 49ers keep talking about it, they kind of keep hinting at we're going to find a way to keep Jimmy on the roster. I think they will find a way. And that means, but I think it's important for all of us to understand the nuance behind it. If he's on the final 53, still not out of the weeds. It still doesn't mean Jimmy's going to be on this roster. So the real deadline is week 1 against Chicago. That's when we'll know. But just imagine that week. That week on these contents, on these airwaves. Oh boy. 49ers cut Brock Purdy, keep Jimmy Garoppolo. Brock Purdy gets picked up on waivers by Seattle. I'm only laughing because I'm terrified. I'm only laughing because I'm terrified. There's so many hard questions with this 53-man roster breakdown, cut date. And I'm gonna do a 53-man roster. I'm gonna have to do it like how I project the 49ers to do it, which means spoiler alert. No spoilers. No, you don't get any spoilers. You got to tune in. No spoilers for you. We're gonna have to see the all out war breakdown in the chat when I drop my 53-man roster prediction. No spoilers. No spoilers for you. You guys are spoiled, and no, I'm just kidding. But it's gonna be crazy. How about we do this? You guys want to watch a little film? Why not? Let's watch a little film. Rather than just kind of talking about like, oh, the 40, let's just watch it. I haven't broke it down yet, so we can kind of break it down together, and we can all watch. Let's watch some tape. Tired of hearing me talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and the Vikings, or not the Vikings, the Seattle Seahawks. Let's watch some tape. Huh? Why not? Strap in, tap in. All right, first play. What do we got? And we'll do Trey Lance for now. So we'll do the first couple drives with Trey Lance. Looks like we got a little bit of an outside zone. Oh. Jeff Wilson almost tripped, was able to stay up. Look at Kittle, man. Look at Kittle dropping bodies already. Putting dudes into the turf. You love to see it. So, highlight of this play, I think, is George Kittle. You get the pancake right here. Great cut from Jeff to kind of help aid. Let's go left to right. Jalen's able to reach with assistance from George. Almost gets away with the hold. Just a little bit there. Gets just enough. You got to reach from Banks right here. He does his job. Good job by Banks. Let's watch Brendel. Brendel's going to try to cut off the linebacker right here. See if he gets there. I don't mind that. If you can't beat them to the spot, you got to use their momentum and leverage against them and ride them out. At least he got his body on them. Juice. Obviously, if Brendel can get to this spot and wall off the linebacker, Juice is focused on safety. And then so Juice is here. Then this lane becomes much more manageable to run through, but again, becomes clogged because we can't get to the middle linebacker. So we're going to give A+ to the middle linebacker on that particular play. But I'm not going to fault Brendel, because this is where like Kyle will use some pre-snap motion to get the linebackers to flow over a gap this way. And if he gets the linebackers to flow over a gap this way, that is when guys like Brendel will be in position to make this block. and the play will look a lot much cleaner. So I don't fault Brendel necessarily because look, if you look at it and pretend like he's up on Brendel, this would be like an outside shade. This is already a very difficult block. So I just want to make it clear that I don't fault Brendel on this particular play. This is where you would see some pre-snap manipulation to get those linebackers to shift over to allow these offensive linemen to get to the spot, beat these linebackers. So again, part of the nuances of preseason, you're not going to see them pull out their entire bag. This was a good play by Trey Lance. This was a good play by Trey Lance. Get a little play action boot. Get Trey on the move. I like Trey on the move. That was a good throw, man. Watch the feet. The setup was nice. Planning off his back foot in rhythm. Dime. Shout out Trey. I like it. Good throw. Good catch. Good yards after catch. Offensive line is showing outside zone run blocking, but they don't get depth, so they don't get a legal man downfield. Everything looks good up front. I like it. Easy. Easy money. Easy money. Let's see what's next. Again, I have not watched this yet, so we're all watching it together. We're all kind of breaking it down in real time and seeing what we see. I don't have any predetermined notes or orders of how things go. All right, this is a good one to break down. So Colton McKivitz, I believe, is going to give up some inside pressure immediately. He's going to get into his kick step. Oh, no. So, what do we got here? So it's play action. So it's designed to look like a run up front. That's why he attacks. But you get a really nice move by this defensive end with the kind of club swipe move, gets off of him. You want to be able to see Colton McKivitz definitely block him much better than that, especially getting the kind of run fake up front. But good job by Trey Lance to be able to get out. But this we want to see just be a little bit better. Again, I like Trey Lance on the move, but you don't want to see the ball dive on him like this. I don't know if this is any impact to the linebacker. I'm trying to see if he was in the throwing lane or not. I don't think he was. And I don't think he got a hand on it. But ultimately, you don't want to see that ball die on him like that. But you also don't want to see him force a turnover. So if he made this play, that would be one of those plays that we would be like, all right, this is what we like to see. If you can go back to North Dakota State, Trey Lance, when he's on the move to his right, this is actually something that he had dealt with in the past, where he has the arm strength, right? It's just getting his feet right and allowing to work through the feet. Again, you can see how like he is the way it just doesn't look natural, like the way he's kind of almost jumping back. It's just interesting, but the ball definitely dies on him a little bit. So continue to work in progress. You just want to see that ball rise up a little bit more. That's about it. Again, great job by him by even getting out and being able to make a potential play. Let's see what we got from Jeff Wilson. So this looked like some good run blocking up front. They're going to run to the right, kind of either in between Burford and McKivitz. Oh, they're going to run right off his butt. Ooh, good cut by Jeff, man. Jeff literally could have ran straight into Charlie Warner. on this particular play. Oh, Jalen Moore got beat really bad. Can't get beat like this from Jalen Moore to the inside, especially uh, with these gap scheme types of plays where they're pulling. You can't get beat to the inside. That's rule number one. But great effort by Jeff Wilson to get around Charlie and to get into the hole and burst up it and lower the shoulder. That was a good run. Good effort here by Jeff Wilson. Good block by Burford. I like this block by McKivitz. Again, double to backer. Burford. McKivitz is able to wash it down. So this is a good, promising play for the guys up front. I would say Jalen Moore needs to tighten that up a little bit. Definitely wasn't Jalen Moore's best effort on the play. Don't want to get beat to the inside like that. Let's see what we got. So it looks like we got a pass. This is the pass interference play. What do you guys think? Do you think that this is pass interference? Do you or do you think this is a clean play? Because to me, this looks like straight up pass interference. It was a bit underthrown. I think ideally you'd want to see this ball placed closer to in between the 20 and 25. And it looks like it stopped around, got to him at the 27, right about the 27. You want this ball to kind of be placed over here so Debo would have an opportunity to run under it. However, I don't have a huge problem because if you do kind of throw back shoulder or it's underthrown, typically I'm going to give it like a 90% chance wide receivers are going to come back to the football, and then the contact created by the defensive back is going to force a pass interference. So this was a pass interference in my eyes. It didn't get called. I don't know why. You could say it was a little underthrown, but still should have been PI nonetheless. Let's look at the protection up front. Looks like they're sliding protection to the right. Colton McKivitz manned up. Does a decent job. I mean, you're not really supposed to grab the back of the head as a defender. So I'm not going to fault Colton on that. Burford, good job by Brendel to be right there to be able to help Burford. You get a little kind of rip to the inside by the defensive tackle. Brendel's right there to pick it up. And they put the dude on his butt. So love to see that. That's a good job by what you want to see out of your center. You want to be able to see your center be there to help and provide help. You get the punch with the left, allows Banks to take over. Then Brendel lets him go, continues to shift to the right, and is right there to help Burford out. That's a good rep by Brendel. So you really like to see that. Let's see what we get. Banks did a good job of taking over this block. They ran a stunt. So you're going to see Banks be able to pick up this stunt. They run a 3-man stunt. Good job by Jeff Wilson for this blitz pickup to be able to be right there and pick it up. So this is pretty good protection all the way up front. You get a little blitz overload on the left side. You're going to get two guys coming, or you're going to get one guy coming down and then two looping around the outside. Jeff Wilson does a really good job of being able to pick that up. Not bad, not bad. Someone said Miss BA. Yeah, you could. That BA is definitely open in the middle of the field. That's for sure. But I don't mind the shot because, like we talked about, this should have been PI. This should have been PI. That's really what it comes down to. And I think one of the benefits, again, of having a quarterback who's going to throw deep is we're going to see an opportunity for, even if it's back shoulder or even if it's thrown behind him, the wide receivers are going to have opportunities to come back for the football and get a pass interference. So I don't mind it at all, even if it was underthrown a little bit. So I think this particular play, Dan Orlovsky did a good. I think it was this one. Wait, I skipped it. So Dan Orlovsky did a good job of breaking this particular play down. This one you want to, so you can see Debo Samuel right here, open in coming across the middle of the field on a deep crosser. You have Brandon Ayuk running a go route that is occupying two. Then you have Debo running underneath it. So we're going to see a lot of this year. We're going to see, and we're going to see who they pick up. And then this is where we're going to start to see Shanny kind of work his magic. Because when you get two guys who are going to occupy Ayuk, look at Debo. Debo becomes wide open. This is where you want to go with the ball, but unfortunately, little bit rushed. I think you see the Trey was spooked by the pressure coming from this side. And then he kind of realized he stepped up into more pressure, and then it just forced a sack. If he could have been a little bit more patient, I think he would have had a big play to Debo Samuel right here. So if, he gets to his hitch, he wants to throw it right here, but Debo isn't fully out of his break yet. They haven't identified exactly where the safety's going. Safety locks on to Ayuk, and by then he's already kind of spooked by the initial pressure, and then kind of steps up into pressure. So this is going to be something that, of course, they're going to look at on tape. Maybe want to slow down the process a little bit to allow it to develop. And you can see Debo knew he was going to be open and knew he should have been the primary target on this particular play. But unfortunately, a little bit of pressure up front leads to a sack. Again, you have George Kittle one-on-one in pass protection. Looks like he slipped a little bit, or kind of got a little bit tossed to the side. But I think that's what initially kind of got Trey spooked up into the pocket. But when he went to step up, there was nothing there, and then ultimately led to a sack. Again, they're going to be able to work through this. These are things that they're going to be able to correct and figure out. I don't see terrible protection. Again, you have Kittle on a defensive end. You're going to want to see that kind of. You're going to want to hold that a little longer. And I think if he did hold that a little bit longer, Trey probably finds Debo coming across the field. But again, another learning experience. Not a big deal. And again, I don't really fault the offensive line for that too much. I don't, because I think right about here, the ball should be gone if we're looking at the timing of the play. It looks like he's a little bit rushed, and I would say the ball should be out about right here, but he kind of jumps up into the pocket. We'll figure it out. See what else we got. All right. I think we're almost through. I think we're almost through Trey Lance's. All right. So I think this is the one, like when we look at Trey Lance, we want to see a little bit. So this has been something that we've seen kind of throughout training camp. Again, it's just a little out in front. Just like it's almost right there. It's a little spicy coming out. Little spicy. And Kittle is, it's so close. So close. Again, when we talk about repetitions, we talk about getting more opportunities to be able to do these types of things. This will this will be one of the things that he will be able to improve on. It's the small touch passes over the middle, getting the ball down. Maybe it doesn't have to come out as hot, getting a little bit more touch on it, because that thing comes out pretty damn fast. And it's just enough outside that Kittle couldn't get his hands on it. Trey will be able to figure that out. Not too worried about that. Look at the protection up front. It's good protection up front. Jalen does a good job. Banks Brendel. Good job. Good job by Brendel. Getting a hand out. Continuing to move protection to the right. Again, Burford knows he has inside help from Brendel. McKivitz. Good job. Good protection. Good protection up front. Just a little hot. Just a little hot coming out. A little high. Correctable. Again, nothing to get upset about. Nothing to freak out about. You can fix that. That is fixable. You can absolutely correct that. Let's look at this play. Why did this play break down? Let's look at the protection up front, see if it's caused by protection. So again, Trey Lance, high alert, pressure to the outside left. This is the good thing about Trey, that he feels pressure like very, very quickly. Like he senses pressure coming to him. He senses that Jalen is trailing right out the gate. And he can sense it. Does a good job missing the defensive tackle coming underneath. It's really not that bad of a play. It doesn't have an outcome that they're looking for, but there are positives to take away from that. Coach says, appreciate the super chat, Coach. He says, if we can't take 3 series, guys, then we won't last. Take this stuff in doses and not just Trey. He ain't the only young guy on the O getting his first reps. 100%, man. Like, you can't evaluate football. You cannot evaluate football through the lens of everything needs to be perfect. Like, everything, football is in its makeup imperfect. And it's like, again, how do you work through a play where you get your left tackle instantly beat? So this is an insta beat. Jalen gets beat, and like, you never want to see your left tackle chasing a defensive end. You just don't want to see that. Trey feels it. Let me kind of get this out of the way a little bit. Trey feels it, steps up. Like, so although this play ultimately ends up in a sack, like, again, you get a showcase of Trey Lance's ability to feel and escape pressure. Now, ultimately, 55 is able to track him down from behind, which is great effort by 55. But to feel 55 and not just sit there and get a strip sack and then not get this D tackle run into him. I wonder what the primary is here, though, because Kittle is wide open the whole time. So I wonder what the read progression is here. I think that's a valid question. Is because he hits his hitch, but he's hitting his hitch and escaping pressure. So you can see he's dropping back, hits his hitch, and explodes out, then has to make another guy miss. Could have quick hit it to. So there are positives and negatives to take away. If he hit this back foot and just got it to Kittle, then maybe that pressure isn't as big of a deal. But again, that's something they're going to look at, and they're going to be able to. They're going to know better than me. They're going to know the 1, 2, and 3, what the progressions should be looking like, where his eyes should be, and what he should doing. I don't know. I'm guessing at this point, but Kittle's open and looks like he's looking that direction. And obviously, they are playing uh, pretty soft. They're playing to the sticks. So it's a 3rd and long. They're playing to the sticks, trying to keep things in front of them. Again, if you get it to Kittle here, Kittle can do it, but he's got to gain an additional 10 yards to get a first down. So again, I don't know what the progressions are, so I can't speak to that and what the thought process is. You could imagine that they were looking for maybe something here. You kind of see Ayuk put the hand up. Kind of looks like he did. But he bailed right away, probably because the progression is deep and then down. Like Kittle's probably like the 3rd read on that play. I don't think Kittle's the first read. So although Kittle's open, there's a reason why the Texans defense is leaving him open, because they have 3 linebackers to come up and stop a potential first. So I would imagine he's looking to Jawan, to Ayuk, to Kittle. That's what I would interpret the read progression be. 1 is Jennings, 2 is Ayuk, 3 is Kittle. But he felt pressure before Jawan came open, so he got out of there. So that's probably why he didn't pass to George Kittle, even though George looks open. Even though he looks open. Coach says Trey is still learning when to get hit and when to evade and reset. He's actually being too cautious. Let it fly, kid. This stuff comes with timing. He's kicking himself watching this with Kyle. We're okay. Yeah, he is. But these are the reps that he needs. Right? Like he needs to put this stuff on tape so that he can go back and watch it and be like, all right, like I got to see the field this way specifically, and this is how we're going to improve upon it. It was a good run by Jeff Wilson. You're going to get a pull from Spencer Burford. It was a nice kick out. Would like to see. He did a good job. Like to see a little bit more drive from Burford, but that's a nitpick. This is a really good pull by Burford to get 97 out the way. Let's see here. Banks. I would like to see Banks get his head across to this shoulder. Because again, we're gonna watch later where Banks got beat on this particular play, and again, you can see the hold. He gets away with one. You can see 69. He gets away with one right there, and 69 is going to come back and beat him on this almost very similar play. But I want to see Banks get his head across on the opposite side because I don't want to give up interior pressure. And I want to see him wall that off a little bit better. And then you're not having to kind of do this hold here. You're going to have Jalen crash down. So, again, if you get your head and you're worried about him flowing over the top, you have Jalen who's coming down as well. That would be able to pick him up and help if he does come over the top. And then he would still be able to get to linebacker. George Kittle does a good job getting to second level. Let's see. Brendel got beat because he's crashing down. Defensive tackle goes opposite slant direction, so that's tough for an offensive lineman. I do like that Brendel was able to come back around though and pop him. I'll take that effort from Brendel. Um, I like that effort. Like he gets beat initially, and again, this is what happens when you're going one direction, defensive tackle goes another, but then you come back and you pop him. I like that from Brendel. That's pretty good. McKivitz, it's good enough job. So although Brendel's guy kind of gets his hand on him, I like that he's able to hit him off of Jeff, and Jeff Wilson's strong enough to run through that. So that was a good. That's a good. It's a good rep by Jeff Wilson. Pretty much good rep from everyone on the offensive line. It was a good recover. It's for what it was worth. It was as good of a recovery that we were going to get from Brendel. Um, after the defensive lineman slant, so tough on that particular one. All right, what do we got here? We got some window dressing. We're going to see a lot of this, man. You're going to get Jeff Wilson flanked to Trey Lance at the left. He's going to shift out to the right. Then he's going to come back in motion, zone read. You're going to have Jawan Jennings come underneath. So, offensive line, it looks like it's going to be outside zone left, but it's a designed play action pass, and then they hit Jawan Jennings. This is a nice design. This is what we're gonna see more of. I think when we uh, when we get more Kyle Shanahan type scheme involved, like this is some fun stuff. And shout out to all the OG SDS. I see you guys are dealing with a bunch of people right now that are saying whatever they want, but I shout out to all the OG SDSers. I appreciate you guys. I know it's preseason and we're already having to deal with the outlandish takes. But I do want to shout out the OG SDSers. Appreciate you guys, man. Y'all are legends. I appreciate your spots in the chat. I appreciate you speaking up. Don't let these other ones get you down. I appreciate you guys, man. Uh, it's wild, man. But I like the play design. I like the setup for everything. Get it out there. All right. Getting close to the end of Trey Lance's run against the Texans. Let's see what didn't work on this play. So again, offensive line hasn't been all that terrible. They haven't been great, but again, when you get into the tape, it just reminds you like it looks a lot worse sometimes when you're watching the broadcast. Like this, I don't know what this was. This felt like a switch, like this felt like a miscommunication on the stunt. Um, obviously feels like a delayed stunt, right? Because you see the looper come around, he waits. So this just feels like an ultra delayed stunt. McKivitz is passing this off. That's really what it looks like. It looks like you have Burford. He's basically shifting to his left and locked on his guy. And it just feels like McKivitz is expecting Burford to be there for a pass off. That's, I think, why it looks so egregious. But hey, shout out McKivitz. He got this dude on his butt right here. So again, we talk about continuity on the offensive line. Um, we talk about again understanding when to pass something off. And it looks like it just got missed a little bit. Like you can see, like the way Burford shoots his head to the right, like you can see, like, oh crap. Like you can see Burford's like, oh crap. So I actually don't put this too much on McKivitz. This actually feels like, again, we talk about Burford being a rookie. This is like a rookie thing. You have to understand that stunts could be coming, and you have to be a little bit more like you can see him try to hit him. See that right there? So Burford was a little late on the stunt. He didn't like anticipate why 69 uh was kind of delayed like that. It didn't trigger that this was a stunt. And so McKivitz was passing it off. That's why it looks like McKivitz didn't block him either. So again, this is some of the nuance uh going down. Um and all that good stuff. Also, too, guys, like again, shout out the mods. Like if someone's acting crazy, like we'll just get them out of here. You already know the vibes. So if my mod squad says the word, we'll drop the hammer. I don't care. All right, let's see. What else do we got here? That's not a bad run by Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon's been taking some heat lately. I don't mind that. I don't mind that cut. He's reading Ross Dwelly's block. Ross Dwelly's gonna kick this out, so you want to cut it back inside. Don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. Want to see let's see here. So you're gonna have the defensive end shoot inside. That means Colton McKivitz is going to leave this block and leave Burford on him. McKivitz is going to try to get to the second level based on this relation of the block. Puts Burford kind of in a bad spot in regards to leverage. So he tries his best. But again, with the slant inside, Merkivitz knows he's got to get to second level based on this first move, but it puts Burford at a disadvantage. He gets the hold. Oh, look at Banks. Look at Banks. All right. I mean, he put him on the ground relatively easy. And he got the second level. I don't mind that. Brendel, decent job. Not bad. Not bad by Banks. And again, Burford's just in. You get put in a bad spot sometimes, and he knows he can't let this guy go. So I get it. It's not terrible. All right, come on, chat. We can do it. Let's get it together. Let's watch some football. Stop. can we chill? Just watch football. We could do it. I believe in you guys. I believe in you guys. We like to keep good vibes around here. We can't be losing it. We can't be losing it off preseason. And the mods are on point. You can't come after the mods either. The mods are mods for a reason. Mods are mods for a reason. The mod squad's undefeated. So if the mod squad is chirping, then you best listen. You best listen. Just saying. Just saying. It's a good run by Trey Sermon. Interesting read to bounce out. I feel like he could have went north south, but again, I don't know where that's designed to, but the bounce out worked really well. Not bad by Trey Sermon. Might have been Trey Sermon's best run all preseason. So at first glance, feel like the offensive line looks a lot better when you really watch it back. Like it does look like they looked a lot better. So I like the read. It works. Based on the way that it's being blocked, it does look like a mid zone. Because if it was outside zone, I don't think Jalen would be trying to win this type of leverage. And the way Banks is turning out, the way you're getting opposite sides, so it does look like it's designed to be a mid zone. But again, that's the kind of freedom you have as a running back is you find the hole, you bounce it out, and it looked like a good read, good cut, good decision. Looks like this defensive tackle is just waiting to jump into the hole. So I don't mind. I think it's a good cut. I think it was a mid zone, but he cut it outside. It's good. That's actually a good run by Trey Sermon. I like that. I like it. All right, let's see what else we got. We're almost through. At least I thought we were. Thought we were almost through Trey Lance's first situation. Take that. Play action. It's not bad. Who's that? To Malik Turner. If we wanted to nitpick this play, could get the ball up a little bit, but don't mind it. It's good completion. Why is Aaron Banks on his back? Oh, you had a linebacker come down, so I don't mind that. Offensive line, sliding protection to the left. Jalen Moore does fine. I like this by Brendel. Brendel's shown me something. I like this by Brendel. Brendel's going to engage with the shaded defensive tackle. He knows he has Burford on his hip. So look at Brendel's eyes. Brendel is 100% focused on the linebacker. Once the linebacker shoots the gap, Brendel pops off and picks him up. I like that by Brendel. That's a great rep by Brendel. Great rep by Brendel. Banks unfortunately gets the brunt of the hit because he's got one guy going against him. Linebacker, basically Brendel pushes all the force from the linebacker into Banks, so he falls. But that's a good rep by Brendel right there. Good rep by Brendel. It's completion. I like it. I like it. Let's see what else we got here. Another play action. I think Ross Dwelley earned his roster spot here. I think Ross Dwelley earned his roster spot last night. I don't know about you guys, especially with his ability to play fullback. I feel like Ross Dwelley played pretty well. So I really like to see that from Ross. Trey Lance is going to have looks like a play action naked boot. He's going to have pressure right in his face. I feel like Trey, and this is a great throw from Trey. No one's going to give Trey his credit for this play. But that was a nice throw. That was a nice throw. No one's going to give him credit, but that was a nice throw from Trey. Especially pressure in his face, got it over the top. Did his job. All right, what else we got? Let's get through this. All right, we should be done with this thing almost soon. See another run from Sermon. Ooh. Burford got bounced into the linebacker for what turned out to be a great block. McKivitz getting amazing push. Wow, this great block by McKivitz. Great job by Brendel and Burford, or Brendel and Banks on the opposite side. It's a good job by everyone up front. It's a good job. He did get pushed into that block, but it worked to his benefit. It worked. It ended up working out. You got a penalty there. Offsides. All right. Let's see what we got here. Take the easy throw. Could have hit Ray here if he really angled it towards the sideline, but I don't mind Trey taking this the safe throw and just getting a completion. Don't mind it at all. All right, what was this? Wait, where's the end zone view? Oh, here we go. Yeah, it was just not a lot up front. Not a lot up front. But hey. Anyways. Hey, it's been an interesting preseason to say the least. The reactions that have came away from this game have been extremely interesting. Wow, good play by Banks. Pancake. Ooh. Oh, good play by Banks. If Jalen could keep his feet, Jalen fell here because he tripped on Banks's foot. So see that he trips right here. So I would say this is a combo pancake because Jalen really did aid in pushing him. But if Jalen stayed on his feet and could have gotten to Kirksey, this would have been a big run. But that was close. It was close. So I think again, this is why I have to always go back and watch the tape, uh, because the offensive line doesn't look as bad as it did last night. Like last night, it looked pretty awful. But again, when you get a better look at it and you start to really like slow it down and play it back, like it wasn't too bad. Like wasn't great, but also at the same time, like some of the breakdowns, especially when it's like one guy has a breakdown, it looks really bad, especially when you start to get some consecutive breakdowns. It looks worse as a whole, but again, it looked really bad last night. I wouldn't say it looks as bad today. Guys are doing their job. Again, this is a hard block for Burford to get to his spot to cut off 51. Jalen could have done a little bit better job to get that, but again, not as bad. Let's see. Hey, shout out, coach. You know the vibes, and that's honestly how I do try to break it down because I know what it's like. I know what it's like to have the tape on and the coach critiquing you. I know what it's like, and there's a lot of variables that are in play. So appreciate that, coach. But yeah, I think we get the picture. You get a play action. Jalen. So this was the one that looked really bad by Jalen Moore. You got a just instant beat because he's taking a zone step to the left, but I think it's Hughes cuts immediately under. Yeah, it did not look good, especially in real time. That was not good. So you don't want that to happen when you're Banks, but so that's not a good rep right there. That's one that you're going to want to have back. You want to take more of a direct step at the defensive end, not out, because you can see his hips are completely out of position, and at this point he can't recover at all. Uh, so not that great from Jalen, but everyone else over here did a good job. But unfortunately, Jalen whiffing kind of threw off the entire timing of the entire play. So that wasn't a good rep by the O line. By Jalen. It was fine by the rest of the O line. All right. This particular one, good switch right here between Brendel and Banks. Brendel's ready for it. Banks goes off, picks up the blitzing linebacker. So this is a good blitz pickup. Defensive end's going to go out, so they're going to switch roles. Jalen is going to be keying on the defensive end, comes back in. So this is a good pass blocking rep by the offensive line, and you get a little bit of an exotic look on the right side. McKivitz kind of got beat a little bit. Burford stays in front of his guys best he can, but ultimately the guys who did the best job were these three: Jalen, Banks, and Brendel. It's not a bad job by those guys. So, anyways, it's more of the same for this type of stuff. There's probably the fourth and two. This one was not good. Banks again. I really wanted to see him get. I don't want to see his head on his back. I want to see the head go across, so that it's a lot harder for a defensive tackle to go through you when you're getting your head across. So when you get your head across and you get it to opposite side shoulder, it's a lot harder to create penetration because you have to go through the offensive lineman. When you're putting your helmet on his back, you're kind of pushing him upfield and you kind of push him right into the puller, and then it kind of disrupts the whole play. So when you have an inside shaded defensive tackle, I really want to see the helmet not on his back. I want to see the helmet in front, across, and on the opposite side shoulder. Um, that you can fix that. You can fix that, but it's not a good rep by Banks. Again, you got to fix the technique here. Technique, if you're going to try to block his back, you're pushing him upfield into your blocker. So not the best. Definitely not the best, especially in a big time situation when you want to see them convert. Because if you look at it and let's say Banks is able to wash down 69, Warner's able to kick out 55. This looks like they could get that. But unfortunately, Sermon has nothing right out the gate. So can't fault Sermon at all. Definitely is blown up. Again, you get interior pressure on in gap scheme type plays and it's instantly going to blow it up. So you can't have that. Can't have that. And that's it. All right, we made it. We got through. That took forever. That took forever. All right. Well, it was a bit of a roller coaster there in the chat. Uh that was a woo. That was a bit of a roller coaster ride. Um shout out to everyone in the chat trying to keep as good as vibes as possible. You know it's appreciated. Again, we're just trying to watch the tape and we're just trying to look at it and give as much input on it as we can. Again, I didn't break it down any of that beforehand. So we were just flying off the handles at that point. And I know I can clearly see that the conversation around Trey Lance is going to continue to be uh, one that is hotly contested. You're going to have people clearly upset about everything. I don't feel like the tape looked as bad as the broadcast. Although it still wasn't great. It still wasn't like optimal. It wasn't the best thing we'd ever seen. It does feel like when you kind of slow it down and you're able to kind of parcel it up, it doesn't look as bad. It still wasn't great. It wasn't mistake-free football, but when you look at the mistakes and you see why the mistakes happened, you can look at them and see like, oh, this is how we get better at this mistake. This is how we change our technique on this block. This is how we have our eyes up to make sure we're passing off this stunt. Um, so again, I don't see anything from just a purely outmatched like situation. Like I feel like Banks looked like he had a lot worse game in real time. He still had moments where it wasn't great. Jalen Moore still had moments where it wasn't great. But again, you watch the broadcast, it looks so much worse. And you kind of get into it, looks a little bit better. Again, wasn't perfect, wasn't pretty, still had plenty of moments where they needed to get better. But once you get everyone on that offensive line working well together and you don't have one guy who's out of place or out of position, it makes the overall offensive line look better as a whole. So what we were seeing is we were seeing like one guy make a mistake here or one guy make a mistake there, and then it overall translates and kind of seeps into everyone else. I thought Jake Brendel looked the best out of everyone. Jake Brendel, I didn't see make any mistakes from what, again, that first pass through. McKivitz, some of the mistakes from the broadcast that I looked at, again, one, you're like, oh, you just got beat really bad to the inside. No, he's actually passing off the defender. Burford was too locked in on his guy, wasn't prepared to take the switch. So that changes a perception of McKivitz on that particular rep. Banks looked good, looked better on some of the reps. He still had the bad ones. That one fourth down play wasn't that great. And but he looked good on some other plays. He had a couple pancakes, getting to second level and doing all that type of stuff. Coach says, in other news, Jeff Wilson Jr. looks good. Sermon good to go for sure. Sermon definitely looked better. And the plays that Sermon didn't get weren't on him. So Jeff Wilson looked good. Trey Sermon looked good. So yeah, I think that's a plus for sure. And again, it's a young offensive line. When this offensive line can settle down and like figure it out, like it's going to look a lot better for everyone, including Trey Lance. You see some of the plays from Trey Lance that he didn't make was because he had some pressure or felt pressure. One of the pressures came from George Kittle, which is rare. But again, George was asked to be one-on-one in pass protection with a defensive end, and the defensive end got by him. So it just, when it's, it's that rep from George, or it's that rep from Jalen, and then you have a miscommunication on the other side from McKivitz and Burford, and then Banks gives up that one. It looks a lot worse. But when you evaluate each individual player each individual player, it looks a lot less egregious. And I think that's what I'm trying to say. Now, the whole offensive line as a whole, based on each guy making mistakes at individual times, the whole thing doesn't look as good. But if you can, again, evaluate each guy in a vacuum, it not too bad. Not too bad. Coach says, got to go. There's no way we let Jeff go over Sermon. I don't think so either. Jeff's game all but sealed Sermon's fate. He's getting released. Plus, Mason looked better last night again. Sermon won't make the final 53. Dude, I don't want to be that person making that decision. I still think Jordan Mason has shown he's more decisive of a runner at this point. And he is really good vision. But I do think Trey Sermon looked better, but I don't know if that's enough. It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild. So is the 53-man roster prediction. I got to see who's going to make it, who's not going to make it. But it's going to be crazy, man. It's going to be crazy to see what ultimately goes down. Overall, again, the tape, you could start to see a little bit more of why the plays broke down. And when I can see why the plays break down, makes me feel a little bit better. But ultimately, still wasn't a clean game. Still wasn't, what we wanted to see in that final preseason game. But the things that did go wrong, you can point to and be like, this is why it went wrong. And the best part about when we always do these film breakdowns is being able to identify what went wrong and how you fix it and like how you improve upon it. And the things that we saw weren't like just like, oh, guy got straight up overpowered. It's technical things. If you can clean up the technique and you can do these things and be a little bit more patient here, or those types of things. That's where the positivity comes from. I didn't see a whole lot on tape where it was just like, oh, they're screwed. There's that you can't fix this. You can't correct this. I still look at the tape and I still see a lot of things that can be corrected. Um, so ultimately, that's the ideal situation um, for that. We'll continue again to see how it ultimately plays out. But yeah, first go at the tape after the pre-apocalypse. Is that what we're going to call it? The pre-apocalypse, with all the insane overreactions to a preseason game. I'm not going to lie. I think that's going to be the first preseason game that I've ever seen create so much just utter disdain from people about. It's pretty wild to see, but I cannot say that I'm surprised at this point. But we'll continue to see how it all progresses. 17 days now until week 1. So it's going to be a fun ride. Shout out to all the SDS holding it down. Shout out to all the mod squad. Appreciate you guys. We'll be back for more and all that good stuff. And we'll try to get the vibes back on track. Appreciate you guys. I'm out.